Wow, it's Thursday afternoon, just after 1, and we are coming to you live from the Smart Hub today. Welcome to HubLive on this amazing Thursday. I am exceptionally excited. I think I say this every single week because we always have great guests. But today, I'm going to share with you a secret that I know will move the needle. And so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to talk to Daniel Johnson, who's my guest today. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, hello.
How
Thanks
are
for having me.
you?
It's great. I'm in Rockhampton. So.
You are, and as people can tell, I'm sure, you're not from here.
Not at all, not at all.
Well, to be a Rocky local, you have to be here 20 years. I've only been here for 12, so I'm not local at all, but you are very new.
Yep,
You've only been here for...
This is week 3, start of week 3, so.
Wow, welcome. How are you going?
Doing well, just enjoying the time, meeting with people upstairs through the Turbo Traction Lab and starting to experience little parts of town here and there, whether it be from the trivia or heading out to Yapoon. So trying to enjoy the little amenities that are here, there, and everywhere, including the going out to the farmers market last Sunday. So that was pretty fun.
Excellent. So you're a bit of a cook, aren't you?
I have been known to cook for the Turbo Traction participants every Wednesday. Yesterday was taco day, so I made some taco stuff.
Yum.
Week before that was chili con carne, and I think next week I may make a curry or something like that. So we'll see.
Sounds awesome. Okay, so the reason why we do these Hub Lives is to teach best practice, or not to teach, but to discuss business best practice and also technology solutions to raise revenue, save time, grow profit, and grow business for small to medium enterprises in our region or beyond, whoever pops into our Facebook Lives. So I know that we have our first person, Monica. Hello, thank you very much for joining us. Please feel free to hop onto the comments and ask a question. Daniel's here, and we'll talk a little bit about the Turbo Traction Lab, about your secret email strategy, about how effective that's been for you and for different people. And if there are any other questions, Daniel is very well versed in all things business. You have a master's degree in entrepreneurship, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so here's the man. You have an audience with him. Hop on to Facebook Live or hop onto the comments and ask us a question. So, Turbo Traction Lab. Let me just explain a little bit of the history and then I'll get you to explain what that is. So if anyone's been following me or the Smart Hub page, you will know that we are running something that is exceptional at the Smart Hub called the Turbo Traction Lab. And essentially what it is it's a program that for people to come into an 80-day program, and the tagline is build a modern business in 80 days. Hey Simon, nice to see you. Thank you so much for hopping on. So the Turbo Traction Lab is this program where you get to build a modern business if you're in the program in 80 days. And the idea is that it is a lab environment. So instead of having like an education program that people attend, it really is a lab environment where we have sourced the very best experts from around the globe and from within Australia in all things business building. And the people come, our participants and our experts sit in the same room and they work on everyone's businesses and they actually get it done. And so the very best experts, our entrepreneur in residence is Daniel Johnson. That's you. You joined us from the US, just 3 weeks ago, and it's exceptionally wonderful to have you here. So what do you think of the Turbo Traction Lab so far? It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, so we're just, the biggest thing that I guess I want to communicate is I've never seen this model anywhere else in the world. So I've probably been to about 23 different countries, 50, 100 different cities to explore what they're doing with entrepreneurship. And too many times we see that there's a big workshop, somebody speaks for 20, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, something like that, and they say, congratulations, here's your to-do list, now go and do it. And everybody is stuck because they don't even know where to click in the first thing to do. So where the Turbo Traction Lab is taking a different approach is it's that snippets of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of knowledge transfer, and then we say, hey, let's sit down at your computer, pull out your credit card, get your email out, and let's start talking about flipping that feature on, sit down writing those emails, whatever it is to meet people where they are. And it's always something quite funny whenever you see any of these concepts called accelerators around the world, and even universities do it, is the programs are designed in such a way that it's highly effective for the presenter to transfer the knowledge.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not made up for the person that's actually attending. So that's pretty exciting that it's flipped. And so far we've been covering anything from your business design to creating your first version of whatever the product or service is. We've got a couple people with revenue, a couple of people that are closer to revenue than they have been in years. And so whenever people ask me, well, what's your real focus? What do you care about? My real focus is I need $1 in your business today, tomorrow, this hour while you sleep. And the real goal with what we're trying to accomplish is how you can build a business that can make money while you sleep, hopefully. And hopefully that money comes from outside of this region, outside of Australia, and hopefully somewhere else in the world that we're using this as an economic development activity while helping people achieve their business goals.
Yeah, it is phenomenal for that reason. Hey Cooper, thank you very much for joining us. Hop on and ask a question. It's not every day that we get to speak to our entrepreneur in residence, Daniel Johnson, right from the US. As you said, you've been to 23 countries. Daniel knows what is happening globally in this kind of entrepreneurial space. Now let me just quickly define what the word entrepreneur means. When we say the word entrepreneur, what we mean is anyone who is creating a profitable business. It's not this weird word that only some people relate to. You don't have to be successful yet to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is anyone who is creating a profitable business. So anyone who's working towards that, if you have an idea that you want to start with, or if you're along the journey, then you're an entrepreneur in our view, right? Mm-hmm. And you fit that definition. So you've been all across the globe. You know all about what to do, about what other people are doing to build business. So this is a completely new model, right?
Yes, yes.
And it's new because what a traditional accelerator would do is they would give you money and take a little bit of your business, mm-hmm. and then give you a bit of a workshop as to what to do, and then pretty much step you through, but leave you kind of to your own devices to spend that money and find your own experts.
Right.
Yeah. What we're doing is we are not giving anyone money, but we are bringing the experts into the room, getting them to help people in a hands-on way, and then hopefully we'll create some really amazing success stories mm-hmm. over the next 80 days or 18 months.
That's the goal.
Thank you. You're doing a great job in helping these people. So email is one of the very first things that you mentioned in week one. Yeah.
So email to me is a necessary evil in the world that we live right now. It's starting to morph into a lot of people are not using it because it's so cumbersome and so many people misuse it. So there's a couple tips and tricks that through me sending emails since the late 90s, mid 90s, I guess, something like that. I've read best practices, I've employed them myself, and it just gets people to the next step. So
what I love about this is when you told me the story of, you said, okay, we're going to work on emailing now. Everyone in the room pushed back and said, hey, we know how to email. We know how to send an email. We're not like that basic. And what did you say?
Well, so I was encouraged to rephrase it. So it wasn't, hey, today we're going to learn how to email. Instead, it's, hey, we're going to learn how to author a credible and actionable piece of electronic communication that gets you the results that you want. So that's the long tail version of it, but in essence, we're just trying to press the reset button and help people create an email that's actionable and not overwhelming, that helps you get to whatever that step is. You've seen it before, you just probably don't practice it yourself.
Yeah. Hey, Chelsea, so great that you hop on every week. We love seeing you here. Thank you so much. Ask a question. Daniel Johnson, an entrepreneur in resident from the US. He's been to 23 countries. He has a master's degree in entrepreneurship, and you have a few of your own businesses.
Yeah, I'm bringing some online while I'm here in Australia. So
I love that so much. I love that you're doing it while you're teaching it. And you use email a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Hey, Melanie, thank you for joining us. Hop on and ask a question. So the email strategy, we are crafting a piece of electronic communication that will get some kind of response from the other person. So how many emails do you think go unread every day?
Oh, well, if you look at my email inbox, there's over 12,000 unread emails. Now, a lot of them are from distribution lists or sales or something like that that I mistakenly somehow got on.
Yeah.
So I need to stop that. But yeah, we were ingrained in the tool. Email as a tool was designed to, every time you get a piece of mail, well then poof, it's like you hear it, you've got mail is what it used to be in the States. Now it does that little ding on our phones, it vibrates, and so it's near instantaneous communication from whoever's sending it. But no one that I know of actively sits beside of their mailbox every day, every hour, every minute, and be like, hey, where it is. No, you take a very seasoned approach to it. You know eventually something's going to be there. Maybe you check your email every day, every other day, once a week. I used to check my mail once a week. I would get rid of my physical mail, get rid of it, 3/4 of it before ever leaving where the P.O. box was. But everything's designed for a reason, and just email is sort of a bane of my existence, but it's actually a pretty good tool if you know how to use it. So.
Yeah, it is. So. And the amazing thing about this modern world is you can pretty much get hold of almost anyone by using a few little tricks that you know all about. I attended, the very first time I met Daniel was at a startup weekend in Mackay, maybe 3 years ago. And I remember you teaching us how to decipher someone's email address from looking at other email addresses in the same organization. How do you do that?
So some people in some jurisdictions around the world would call that sort of stalking, but I don't call it stalking. I just call it us using all the tools that we have available. So I'm happy that I've got a couple of YouTube videos, and maybe whenever we finish, I'll throw those in the comments. But step number one is if you use LinkedIn is actually a really good email place because most people will attach their business email alongside their personal email.
Yeah.
And so what that allows you to do is if you Google, there's this what's called a Google Chrome extension, which if you look at my email inbox and I show you, if I hover over somebody's email address, on the right hand side pops up the person's LinkedIn profile. So what's happening in the back end is there's this tool you can download. It's called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And all the tool is designed to do is to sit in your Gmail email. And some people use Gmail for work, which is totally fine. You use it personally, it doesn't matter. And anytime you take your mouse and you hover over somebody's email address, this tool takes that email address, goes to LinkedIn and says, hey LinkedIn, is there an associated LinkedIn profile with this email? And if one is matched, well then it shows the person's picture and profile and if you're connected and everything like that.
Okay, what's the tool called again?
LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's totally free to use, no cost.
You just Google that, LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Yep, you click on the first link, it'll pop up and it'll say, add this to Chrome. That's all it does. And you click there, it enables, and then you log into your LinkedIn account and then it enables it.
Perfect. Right, so then you can get to almost anyone.
Yeah, so that's an example of if you're like, who is this person? They've sent you something. You're like, I don't remember who Elise is. And I mean, everybody in Rockhampton knows who you are. But yeah, you've just got to hover over it, and then it pops up, and you're like, oh yeah, that's who that person was. So that helps out there. But stage 2 is to use another tool called Email Hunter, and the website for that is hunter.io. So what you do is you go, if you know let's say if you want to find somebody at Kohl's or Woolworths, and you know Kohl's website is always kohls.com.au. So you go to this website, hunter.io, you plug in whatever the business email address is. It doesn't matter if it's the Rocky Council, it doesn't matter if it's Kohl's or anybody else, and this is global. And you type in kohls.com.au or whatever it is, click on find, and it then pops up and it says, hey, based upon all the email addresses that we look at, we believe that the email pattern is first name dot last name at domain, or it's first initial last name at whatever. And so it gives you what they believe matches. And so then what you do, here's the hack. So you have those two. Here's those two independent tools. But now if you take that email pattern with the name of a person you want to talk to, maybe you find them on LinkedIn, but you actually don't have their email address. Well, then you start a new email and you just start typing out what their name is as it fits in that email pattern. So if it's Elise, if this tool said Rockhampton regional counsel is first name dot last name at rockhampton.qld.gov.au. Well, you would just type that in, press enter, and then you hover over the name. And if the person has that business address associated with LinkedIn, well, then their nice, pretty little picture will pop up. And what that teaches us as we're trying to do business development, sales, customer interviews, whatever it is, that lets us know that behind that email address, there's an actual human.
Yeah.
And there's one more trick.
Yes.
Is that sometimes if you're using Gmail as your email and you hover over someone's email address and it just has that little blue picture avatar that's general, that may mean that they use some other email program. But if someone's real photo shows up there, it means that that business uses Google as their email provider, and a requirement to do that is you have to load up a photo. So that's another tricky way to figure out if there's a human behind there. So the tools that you use are Gmail. You install a plugin called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's free to use. You sign in with your LinkedIn profile. Then you use hunter.io to go out there and see what the email pattern is, and then you take it all back into Gmail, start a new email, type in the person's email pattern, press enter, hover over, and if there's a match, it'll show up to the right. Also works with a lot of Gmail accounts, so a lot of people have first name dot last name at gmail.com. That's another tricky way to find people's personal email addresses.
Very good. So. That is very, very, very good information. So, how do you find the right person to talk to? Let's say you have a product and you're looking to expand your business, or you have a service and you're looking to expand your business. Is there a thinking framework that you can use to go, who else can I try and talk to, or who can I ask questions, or how can I get that person's attention? Who do we need to target?
So this is a common problem where people don't know who to talk to, and they think they need to take out an advertisement in a newspaper so that they hit 100,000 people, 1 million people. That's wrong. That's inappropriate. Don't do that. People self-identify in multiple ways to say, hey, I'm actually the right person for you to talk to. If it's a business to business, especially if you're going to the US as a market, I would use LinkedIn. I would try to find people based upon the company, the industry, the job title, the work experience, any tools that they use, because if somebody really loves a specific tool, say you use AutoCAD because you're an engineer and your product targets AutoCAD users, well, search for the word AutoCAD in people's descriptions on LinkedIn, and they'll just, maybe you don't need to talk to an associate, maybe you need to talk to a director. Well, LinkedIn also allows you to search, I think, up to 250 people a day, and you put in the job title, the location, company name. That's probably an entire hands-on series that we could do just on harnessing LinkedIn. But people self-identify. So the first one is, if people self-identify in a social network, that's always cool. That helps out. 2, industry leaders typically want to be recognized in one way, shape, or form. So let's say that if you have a product that's in the construction industry, I bet you anything that I know there is, that there's a construction magazine of Queensland. There's a construction association of Queensland, one for Victoria, one for all of Australia, which means each of these have employees, they have board members, they have volunteers, they have annual meetings. And people that speak at annual meetings or serve on the boards, these are people that are self-saying, hey, I believe that I have something to offer this community and I want to lead it to be a better place. And if your product or service can help them lead others to being the best that they can be, there's nothing wrong for you to email president@australianconstructionassociation.com.au, or you use a LinkedIn Sales Navigator to figure that tool out. And I bet you anything that somebody will come forward and email you. But crafting the email is sort of pretty interesting. Other tools you can use that I like to sort of dabble in is, so not only is this the trade associations, the magazines, the conferences, but people also self-identify as subject matter experts on Twitter. And Twitter, some people like it, some people don't like it. It's
but
whatever
if you like something, it's kind of irrelevant, right? If it can help, just like it. I mean, just use it.
Whether it's Peter or Joshua who's just joining us right now, and you're like, how in the world do we build our business and go forward? Well, if somebody's already collecting your customers somewhere, we'll meet them there. It's so much easier to market. If I've got a swimming new swimming apparatus to make swimming easier, I should not go and hang out in Macca's or McDonald's to find my customers. I actually need to go where they're self-identifying, which is the pool.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just forget that they think they just have to do whatever. So find people that self-identify. They're on social networks. They're even places that are identified as the best places to work. People that compete for the Telstra Small Business Award, any of these, people are saying, hey, we want to be recognized as being thought leaders. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with backtracking and saying, hey, you're with ABC company. Let's figure out what it is. But finding them is part one. Then part two is the communication, which a lot of people mess up on.
Okay, and that's really what we're going to work on today. That's where the secret is. Yep. But even if you get the communication perfectly right, if you send it not to the right person, then it might not work. So it's two sides of the coin, right?
Yep.
You touched on something that's so super important. People who have the same interests generally flock together. And even if you just go, swimmers forum in Google, you just Google that, you'll find a heap of forums where people who are swimming speak to each other, and then you can jump into the conversation, you can identify the influencers, you can identify who's who, and then you can take it from there, right, and identify. Yep. So it's a bit of detective work.
Yep.
Yeah, which is fun.
For some people it's fun. I think it's fun.
Yeah, well, we'll call it fun anyway. Yeah, for us it's fun. Cool, so then what do you actually say? Now that you've identified the right person to speak with, what is it that you say to get that person's attention?
So let's take an example of something I do is I love news. So I always research and I have news alerts for industries I'm interested in at news.google.com, and they just aggregate a whole bunch of news based upon geographic and interest. And you can also say, hey, anytime this company or this phrase is mentioned, email me or send me a daily digest. So I have a couple things tracking out there. And so one of the things I always like to do is if I think that there's someone of interest and they've been mentioned in the news, I'll go to news.google.com, I'll search their business name or their name or something like that and come forward. And so one of the things that I do is I then backtrack and then I start writing my email. Subject line is issue number one.
Yes.
If subject line can make or break somebody's ability to just click on it, you've got about I think it's now 62 characters to make for somebody that's reading on mobile, and something like 60% of all emails are written on mobile. It's called email. It's not called email dissertation that's 17 volumes long. So it's email. Think about it, something that you physically get in the post. So it has to be short and sweet, actionable. So subject line is one. If I'm asking for somebody's help and I need them to do something, my first line is help, colon, and then whatever something that's going to grab their attention. It's not help me build a better business. That's not going to make anything, but it could be help understand some sort of market problem or industry. So that's number one. Two, go ahead and address it. Hey, John. Hey, Susie, whatever it is. And then my first one is I let them know I'm not trying to sell them anything, even though I may later down the road, but right now I'm just fact finding. So it could be, hey Joshua, just wanted to reach out to you. I saw you were mentioned in this article. Congratulations on your business success. End of sentence. And maybe you link to it, maybe you don't, it doesn't matter. People typically like to talk most about themselves, so whenever you're putting them on a pedestal as a subject matter expert, people are like, oh, you think I'm cool. So just let them know how you found them, because otherwise it seems a little bit weird that you stalked them. Number two, make sure they know, hey, this is not a sales email. I noticed you were mentioning this article. I'm just trying to find more information out.
So what are the words that you would use to convey that message?
It's literally, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Literally typed out.
Full stop.
Full stop. I'm not trying to sell you anything,
and
period.
where in the email do you say that? So you say...
Line 2, line 3.
So line 1 is where did you find them, and acknowledging the whatever, the recognition, the award, the whatever. Yep. And then line 3.
I'm not trying to sell you
anything. Full stop. Okay, and then line 4.
And then you say, and then I always do this something, and then I say, hey, I'm working on whatever industry, trying to understand more about this, this, and this. And maybe this, and this is listed in their profile, the news article, something that they're going to resonate. I actually know something about it.
Yeah.
So you connect it up about your needs, and then comes the ask. And the ask is, hey, if your schedule permits, how can we join up for a video conference? Now, what most people do, or you could meet out for coffee, it doesn't matter, it depends on distance. Now, most people will just leave it at that. But inadvertently, and this is where I get really upset, is a lot of people will say, hey, Elise, let's meet next week. But inadvertently, what you did in that email is I just created a whole bunch of work for Elise, which is highly inappropriate, because now she has to look at her schedule, dictate her schedule, email back to me. I then check my schedule, and then I get back with her. And we've all been on those email chains, and they're 16 long, and I stop responding to those. So what I do is, hey, Elise, or whoever the subject matter is, whether it's Steve who just joined us, I'm like, hey, Steve, how do any of the top 3 times, and I always list 3 time windows at work, how does Monday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. look? How does Wednesday, and I just give these 3 times, and I always say, hey, once confirmed, I'll send you the calendar invite so we block that off. Your goal is not to get them to explain what you want in the meeting. Your goal is to get them to agree to the meeting or the video conference. And that's a little bit of a mind shift. Don't try to sell the product, just try to get to the next step. The next step is let's call, let's video chat, let's meet in person. And then I do something, and this is probably sharing too much information. I usually withdraw the offer. Hey, Elise, I know there's absolutely no way that you can make time on your schedule for someone that's trying to learn more about the industry. And then if Elise is reading that, she's gonna be like, this person doesn't think I can offer any value. You know what? I'm gonna meet with that person Tuesday at 8 a.m.
A little bit of reverse psychology.
Psychology plays a lot. And again, all you're trying to do is get that meeting. And so you press send, don't send an email at Monday morning don't send it on the weekends, don't send it Monday morning. Friday afternoons are horrible. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are always the best time to send them. In the US, you can pretty much send the emails anytime and people get it. So yeah, that's mine. So to recap, it's powerful subject line, usually asking for help or something that's catchy. Introduce yourself, how you found that information. Let them know that you're probably not selling anything to them by literally saying, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything, because you're not. You're just trying to get them to a meeting. And then let them know sort of the problem statement, what you're trying to get out of them. Have the ask, and that's probably going to be an in-person meeting. Some next step could be a video conference. Lay out 2-3 times that you know work with your schedule already. And then take away the offer, which is, hey, I realize there's no way that you can make time for somebody that's trying to learn. And then say, hey, thanks. Let's say you send that on Tuesday. It's highly appropriate. You have a 48-hour window. Don't bother somebody in the first 48 hours. That 49th hour, you are permitted to reach out again and say, hey, Elise, Steve, Josh, whoever it is. Not sure if this made it past your email box and everything like that. Would still like an opportunity to catch up. Here are the updated times if they've changed on your schedule. So that's what I do. Don't ask for same day meetings. That's really rude. And definitely never omit and forget to put in that. Here are the times that work with my schedule. Do they work with yours? Don't get in the 14 messages back and forth. What time works for you? Where do you want to go? No, know where that person's office is. Know that they work in the CBD. Know what intersection it is. Know the best coffee shop that's a block away and say, hey, I'm going to be in the area these times, let me know what's worked. So it's a little bit of psychology.
Okay, so the process is basically, number 1, understand who it is that you need to speak with. And then use the tools that we mentioned before to find the right person's email address. Okay. Once you have the email address, then the next outcome that we want to achieve is to create a face-to-face or online meeting. So there's nothing like talking to someone. So that's step 2. So that's the outcome of the email. Then you go to the subject line, you say help and what it is that you are looking for, some catchy thing. Then you say hello so-and-so. You acknowledge where you have to stalk them. That's step 2. You have to research is the word that we'll use. You have to research them, which is step 2. You have to know where their office is. You have to know what they do. You have to know what they've been recognized for, and then you acknowledge that in the email. And then step 3 is you construct the email, which is the subject line, hello, acknowledge where you found them, recognize them, or thank them, or congratulate them. And then say, this is who you are.
And I'm not selling you anything.
I'm not selling you anything. Here's your ask. Here are times for us to meet.
Done.
I know that you probably can't meet with someone like me. And done. 49 hours later, if you haven't heard a response, then you send a follow-up email. Hey, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you on here. Right, so what if you wanted to sell something?
Well, you can still say, so that gets a little bit different. It could be that you need to uncover, hey, I'm trying to find out who the right person is in the company, and that's an appropriate one. But usually you throw in a little bit of information. Hey, I'm trying to find the right person in the Rocky Council that say may oversee innovation or oversee remote sensing or something like that. At least I know you're probably not the right person, but we've helped out 17 other councils doing the same thing. Who do you believe would be the appropriate contact? Your ask for a lease is not to close the deal. Your ask for a lease is who's the right person to contact.
And if I am the right person, of course I'll go. Yeah, that's actually me.
That's me. That's me. Yeah. The other thing that happens.
Hey, Travis.
The other thing that happens is not only is it inappropriate not to give the appropriate times that your schedule is free, but automatically assuming that that's the right person you should talk to. Yeah. And if you do need somebody else's recommendation and they say, nope, I'm not the right person, well, it's also appropriate for you to say, hey, if you're not the right person, below here I've included a copy and pastable email introduction that can work. Your goal is to make it as easy on the person who's receiving your message to say yes to whatever the next step is. If I need to write a letter of recommendation for a lease, although we're working together on some of these projects, I have no idea what she wants the letter of recommendation to say. She knows she should prep me, make it totally easy to copy and paste so that I can help her in the next step. And that's probably another one of these little live sessions, how to correctly author and make letters of recommendation totally easy for people to receive and to get.
Yeah. So I agree, and we might even just do another Facebook Live next week if you're up for it.
Yeah, sure.
If you want, I think Daniel will be back here with me next Thursday. So if you have a topic that you'd like to suggest, hop onto the comments and we'll talk about whatever comes up in the comments next Thursday. Anything around how technology can help you, or business best practices or hacks to help you achieve your business goals. But okay, so if you wanted to sell something, I heard you say something really, really powerful once, and that is it was around or in the context of getting investment. So investment's pretty much the same. You sell someone on your business an idea, and you want them to give you money, and you're selling part of your company. And I think the actual underlying strategy holds true for whether you're selling for investment or whether you are selling a product or a service. And you said the following: if you want investment, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for the money. I think that's exactly right. So the first email strategy, which is please help me understand a little bit more about my industry, that can be incredibly powerful to get onto a one-to-one sales call with, a call with someone, and then explain what it is that you do in a way that is enticing, and that could always lead to a sales conversation later, couldn't it? Mm-hmm. So advice if you want money, ask for money if you want advice.
I don't remember saying it, but I know I've said it before, so
yeah.
Too many times people they want $1 million to do something, to investigate a problem and come up with a solution. No investor is going to do that. Investment really follows those people that have a process and a design solution, and the investor is looking at it as they are an igniter and making the flame bigger. Yep. They don't want to sit there and rub the two pieces of wood together to get the fire going. You've got to have a little inkling of something going where you know it works, that every time you blow on it, the fire gets bigger, and you're just looking for the investor to give you the petrol or the agent that just makes it go higher. Very few people, unless you've done this 20 times before, will get investment to see an idea. But the best people to invest in your company are your customers, and you do that through pre-sales, you do it through promising, delivering value, even if the value does not scale to 1,000 people. The biggest goal is just to be something of value to one person, and then be something of value to 2, and then 10, and then 100, which is what we're teaching people to do upstairs in the Traction Lab.
That's awesome. Okay, so what about all the other communication platforms like Slack or Facebook Messenger or direct messenger through the Instagram? Or how is that appropriate in business to use those messaging through LinkedIn?
They're all appropriate for support mechanisms, for sales channels, for requesting services. I know some of the services that I use, some design, monthly design, unlimited packaging stuff. We communicated on Slack as a tool. There's some online communities for startups and people, for investors and stuff like that all utilize Slack. A lot of businesses do too. So just whoever's gathering those people and making the tool that's appropriate. Different countries use different tools. So like in China and Asia, WeChat is the preferred program. Here in Australia, it's Facebook Messenger, although it's starting to go global in WhatsApp, which is pretty popular around the world. So yeah, you've just got to meet people where they are and the communication methods that they have. Email, again, is not it's mail. Think about one page, what we would have in a single envelope. It's not a diary. It's not a long list, a big thick book. Just something to get people to the next step.
But you can use that same messaging, the same actual message, same content in any of the other platforms. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or would you change the message?
No, you can even use it in person. So one of the tools that I use whenever I need something from a service provider that has every right and responsibility for their business to tell me, no, there's no way we can deliver that today. I actually used it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I went down to Melbourne and did this event called a Startup Weekend. On Monday, I'd been antagonizing over purchasing this bicycle, this push bike, while I'm here because I'm challenging myself for 6 months to see how long I can make it without a car. And I was told by the sales guy that I needed to place the order on Saturday or Sunday, and I'm flying out on Monday, and they said, if you call us on Monday, we cannot sell you the bike.
Yeah.
And so I call up on Monday like I was not supposed to, and I said, Ben, I realize there's no way you can help me. I was removing his ability to do anything, psychology. And I said, Ben, Mark told me to give a call. I admitted my fault. I was supposed to call on Saturday and Sunday, but I was struggling with the decision, but I'm ready to move forward. There's no way you can help box this thing up today before I get on the plane. I completely understand you can't help me out, but I'd love to walk away with that bicycle. What is Ben's only response at that moment in time?
I'll show you.
He's going to be like, well, I'm going to show you wrong, and you're going to walk outside of this bicycle shop, and by the way, give me your credit card number. So I just rattle it off, and now I have a bike that's parked here in Rockhampton.
Wonderful.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah, and
You did the impossible.
and if you don't ask, you don't get, and that's what a lot of people don't. Whether it's chats on a website, those little interactive chats, Facebook Messenger, emails, phone calls, in person. If you don't ask, you don't get, and that's my big takeaway. Ask, and you'll be surprised about what the world may deliver.
So I think that is critical, because to be able to execute any of what we've been talking about today, you have to have the courage to step out of
and be vulnerable
and be vulnerable and actually ask, right? So what do you do if someone's sitting in their office right now or at home behind their computer or phone thinking, I have this amazing idea, this great product, this a great thing that I need help with, or I'd like to make a sale with, and I need to reach out to someone and have that conversation, but I can't bring myself to actually type the email, or I can't bring myself to send that message on Facebook Messenger. What do we do?
So that's probably the biggest human condition, and 50% of success in doing a business is merely showing up and doing the activity. Probably 40% of it is taking that courage to act on what you need to do, and probably 1% of it is the value even there, but it's just tinkering with it. So what I would encourage people to do is type out that email, copy somebody else's email that did pretty well before, copy and paste it, change it up, and press send. If you're unable to send that email, pop down here. I will type out the email for you. I will take your mouse and I will press send. And but it all comes down to humans are very great about creating irrational outcomes, and we're irrational beings whenever it comes down to it. So we may think that somebody is very upset that we would communicate with them and say, let me tell you how I can help you in your business decrease costs, increase revenue. Why would you keep that a secret and to yourself?
Yeah.
You shouldn't. You should be evangelizing and tell everybody. And if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it on your behalf. And so just because you tell a business person or a colleague or a future customer, here's how I think I can be of value to them, they're not going to say, get out of my way, I don't want my business to be better. They're never going to say that. You're going to get a flat out no, that's not for me. You're going to go say, you know what, sounds interesting, but right now is not the best time. And then you flip it and you say, well, when is the better time? And the last one is, it's a yes to whatever that next step is. It's that meeting, that call, is that, hey, let me tell you how our procurement process works or something like that. So if you don't ask, you get an automatic no.
Yeah, you're at no anyway.
You're at no right now.
Yeah, so don't
what's
worry
the
about
worst
that.
that happens?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you no again. Well, you were at a no before. Sometimes about 10% of the time you'll get a maybe or a no, not right now.
Yeah.
And then probably about 70% of the time you'll get a yes, let's at least meet and take it to some next step.
In a way, it's a numbers game, right?
That's all it is.
And no is an inevitable part of being in business. You are going to get a no. It's not personal. It's not rejection. Yep. Even though it might feel like that in the moment, it really isn't. It's not personal at all. So it's a bit of a numbers game. If you want to get someone's attention, send 10 emails, and if you get 2 responses, awesome. If
it's like dating.
It is. Well, I haven't dated for a very long time. Tell us about that.
Well, now there's apps that you can date around with, which is apparently all the rage. But no, it's like dating. Like, people did not just stay at home waiting for the world to come to them and that partner in life and partner in crime that they wanted. Yeah. No, you actually put yourself out there. You went to a bar, you went to a restaurant, you asked friends, hey, we seem to be okay saying, hey, you know what? Tell me where. I do this all the time. I say, hey, tell me where your single friends are this weekend. And then like people are like, after a couple of times, they're like, oh, he's actually being serious. Yeah, I'm being serious, because you hear all these connection stories of friends and friends, and that's totally okay. If we're okay to do that with our personal life, which we're going to spend hopefully the rest of our lives with a partner in crime, why would you not do it in a transaction that makes 2 people's lives better for a small amount of time? It's just irrational how we do it, and it's the fear of rejection, just like dating. But business is just a game, and it's the game of, do I have something that provides value for you and enough for us to meet at the right time, at the right place, for the right needs? So.
Absolutely. So do we put it out there? Where is everyone's singles friends on the weekend for you?
Yep. I'm going to hang out at Yeppoon on Saturday, so let me know. Hang out in Livingstonshire. So see a guy on a bicycle, let me know. So
that's awesome. Hey Daniel, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. So I'd just like to, is it okay with you? See how I'm putting you on the spot. Ask. If I don't ask, I won't know. Is it okay if you join me again next Thursday at 1 for our next HubLive?
If my calendar allows.
Okay, that's a yes. And then, no, thank you. And so if you have anything that you would like to know, so interesting hacks like Daniel shared today, if there is a part of your business that you'd like to take to the next step, where you're struggling and you just can't figure out the problem, either send us a direct message or a private message on our Facebook Smart Hub Facebook page, or comment, but reach out to us and we will see if we can get that answered for you next week. But I'll be back with Daniel next Thursday, 1 p.m. for our next HubLive. Thank you so very much. Yeah, go email someone or go message someone. We'll see you soon. Bye.